Question 5 says, this is a big one to think about philosophically, if you like. Where do you think you would be today if you had not connected with others outside of your school?
I'm going to jump straight in and be really quick with this. I know for a fact that I wouldn't be teaching if I didn't make the step that take the step that I did take and step outside of my classroom. I didn't leave my primary school classroom because I was fed up or frustrated with teaching at all. It was more of a case of I looked around at some of my colleagues and they were very bitter and resentful, and I just thought, I don't want to become like you. What can I do to improve my own profession so that I still can be the best teacher I possibly can be for my students? So I know that if I didn't make those initial connections and step away, I wouldn't be teaching.
I believe my students wouldn't be as connected as they are, and my entire team. I think I would be really, really bored. This is my 27th year of teaching. And no matter how hard you try to make it differently, it's still you trying to make it differently, and you're in your own stream of thoughts. So this input from other people, the ideas, the exposure to things I would never come up with, I loved every minute of it. And it made me way better teacher trainer and coach for my teachers. And then I ended up training them into coaching each other. So now I do the research and show them once, and then they mingle and observe one another at the classes, discuss it. So everything has changed. The dynamics has changed. I cannot imagine how static and how uneventful our classes would be. Although we had great success and they learned a lot, our language learners were always the best in public schools and so on, but it lacked something, and now it's there.
In my case, if I am not connected, I will teach my students computer science without computers. And I will teach them Word 2003, and I will teach my students how to type a text, how to draw a picture. But today it is not possible because our students are digital native, they are digital citizens, and they are global citizens. We have to think globally and act locally. And they have today, internet is everywhere, in their homes, in everywhere, in public places. So our students use their smartphones, and teachers have to be up to date and to have to learn more to help their students to discover this digital world and this global world.
Okay. Well, in my case, I think my students didn't like English the way they like it now, or they didn't like technology the way they like it now. Well, for me, having the opportunity to connect with teachers have provided me useful tips to teach, because I know what other teachers are doing in other part of the world. I know, I get to know about all the fantastic project works that English teachers do with the students, and how English teachers, and not just English teachers, how teachers have incorporated technology in their classes. So I try to bring as many as possible those ideas to my classes. For example, if I wouldn't be connected, if I wouldn't be teaching the way I teach now, maybe my students still, or maybe they still be using technology not as useful as they are doing it now. For example, as I'm teaching, as I'm an English teacher and I teach English, general English, my students have to deal with all the skills, speaking, listening. And I can see now that my students, that they see all the benefits of technology. I have had experience of students that are very good at listening because they have to start connected with students all over the world. For example, like the gamers, those students that love video games, and they can see that they can use technology to learn, to improve their skills. And in a way, they told me, teacher, I have seen how we use technology in the class. I have seen all the activities that we can do using technology. And I can bring that to my learning process. So I think that this is thanks to, as a teacher, I have the opportunity to get connected with other teachers, so I can provide those ideas to my students and they can take it for them.
I think for me, just briefly again, I think I'd be in the classroom still. I think that I would still have my focus, my main focus, my only focus on the learners in my care inside my room, because it's my room. I think that without having that step outside, without having that big first step, I wouldn't have known what others can do for me and what I can do for them. I wouldn't have known that my ideas are good, because I think it was, again, a case of, I've always known, I guess, my ideas being different, but I think that it's being in this place here and having ideas that are sometimes not the status quo. And then you hear someone say, but I did that. Like, whoa, what, really? And it's validation. I think that that's not always something that people who are willing to grow and change in school systems or in any system, they don't always get validation when they're new or when they're different. I think there's oftentimes too dissuasion. You're often encouraged to toe the line because it's always worked. Quick story, my father, he was a banker. And when he was learning to go beyond that, he went from mortgages, he went from brokerages and things like that too. He took some night classes and he saw some interesting ideas. Went back to his boss one day and said, I think we can improve. And this is what I think we should do. We should have the people who are our back-end staff work the front desks as well, so that they can get the customer service experience. And I think this really would help us to improve. And the response from his boss was, but we're not the worst. And I thought, that's the nail in the coffin. And that's when my dad decided to leave Scotland, and we headed across to Canada. Not to speak ill of everyone in Scotland. I'm not saying this is the culture at all now, but there is a culture in some schools where it's a case of, but we're good enough. We're not the worst. And I say, let's change and be better, because we're not the best.